So earlier this week on Black Twitter, the timeline went into chaos when people started to talk about book now, pay later options for flights. And I was just there reading my timeline. So, what brought about this chaos on the timeline this week? So this is the tweet that started it earlier this week, and it comes from Klarna, which if you aren't familiar, it is a buy now, pay later option. And they tweeted, us on our way to the airport after buying flights with Klarna. And it turned out to be like a division between those who turned their nose up against buy now, pay later payment plans for flights. And there were some people who didn't know about it. There are some people who were just like, ecstatic about it. @_big O_tweets. Flights taking Klarna. I'll see y'all in Dubai. And so forth. These tweets ensued. Me at JFK after booking my world tour using Klarna. And since this came about earlier this week, it had me thinking, like, what is, all the hoopla about all of a sudden? I've always known about, book now, pay later options, but I wanted to talk to you about really quickly, what are some book now, pay later options for travel and for flights? If you're new here, my name is Kim and I'm the creator of WorkHardTravelWell.com, and on this channel I talk about travel tips, lifestyle and tech tips for busy professionals. So go ahead and subscribe to this channel and turn on the bell for notifications. I post weekly videos so you don't want to miss them. Some options include Klarna, Affirm, PayPal Credit, and Afterpay. And this is just looking at some providers, a few that do a book now, pay later options. And it really depends on what the airline accepts. Most of the airlines I've seen take majority of PayPal credit, and then you can use Klarna App to pay for some of the travels and some of the flights. On Klarna, on the app, you can basically make purchases on the app and use a one-time card. Klarna also partners with Expedia to allow you to be able to make purchases. So I downloaded the app, and how it works is that you are able to add a one-time card that lets you split your purchase into smaller payments at any online store. So this is an example of when I clicked on Expedia, was already loaded into the app, and I chose a flight, as you can see at the top. And basically, when you're ready to pay, you create a one-time card, and then you choose any of your payment methods. You can even choose a travel credit card or an American Express or a regular credit card, and then select to pay by credit card and use your one-time card. So with these options, you have to have a minimum of $100. They all work in a similar fashion. You're able to split payments over about usually 6 months. Similar with all of these methods, the interest doesn't kick in until like the 6-month period is over, and if you don't pay your balance by that 6 months, end of the 6 months, you have to basically pay the interest, and it goes all the way back to the beginning of when you basically made the purchase. With Afterpay, you have to pay like a fee if you're late. So it just depends. I would encourage you to look at which options there are and consider that before you jump on it. I know it's very tempting to see that flight deal and want to jump on it, but you have to kind of consider the pros and cons. While you're here, check out the Travel Well store, which is a travel themed store with apparel, accessories, and home items. Use code YouTube for free shipping. If you do not want to use Klarna, one thing that's been around for at least a while on American Express is a Planet option. And you're basically able to make that purchase on your American Express, and you break the payments up on that large purchase over several months, and you are charged a fee based on how much the purchase is and other different factors. And Chase actually started the My Chase plan in 2020, so that's another option. So you have to kind of consider, do I want to do a buy now, pay later? Or if you already have one of these credit cards, consider doing a plan with your credit card since you already have history with that credit card issuer. So these are just the two that I know of. You definitely want to check with your credit card issuer if you want to see if there is a plan available to you. Like I mentioned before, you definitely want to pay attention to the fees and to like the interest rates. The APR, the annual percentage rate on Klarna, is 19.99% at the time of this video. And the promotional period I mentioned earlier is 6 months. So you have to pay that balance off in 6 months. At the end of the 6 months, you'll be charged 19.99% against that balance, but going to the original purchase. PayPal credit is an option. It is 23.99%, and it also has a 6-month promotional period. PayPal credit is actually an option I saw on most of the websites. Went through the checkout process, tested it out on Delta, and of course you can always pay with your Delta Amex or any other credit card, but if you would like to use PayPal credit, there is an option to basically be redirected to PayPal, and towards the bottom it says PayPal credit is now available through your PayPal wallet. PayPal credit, which is basically no interest in 6 months and subject to credit approval. And also I went through the process with Southwest. It basically has it so that when you check out as well, you just toggle to the right of the credit card, debit card option and hit purchase with PayPal, and you'll be directed to PayPal, and you can choose the PayPal credit option. Keep in mind, as all of these options are subject to credit approval, understand that it's going to pull your credit and credit history, and what you're approved for and things will depend on that. So that's with any of these options that you use. Okay, so back to the interest rates and fees. Amex travel credit card, if you were to use that, or any Amex, but I would prefer to use a travel credit card so that I can basically get bonus points for purchasing on an Amex travel credit card. But I mentioned earlier that Amex, American Express, has the Plan It option. There's not an interest fee, but they charge a monthly plan fee, which is 0.61% to 1.17% of the purchase. The duration depends on a few factors, depending on your credit and things like that. I will show you that American Express has a Plan It calculator, so you can go ahead and see what that would look like if you were to do it. So let's just say you purchased a $600 flight out of the country and you're using the American Express, and you want to break it down into 6 payments. It shows you that you're going to be making a payment of $104.98 for 6 payments and $4.98 for each payment. So your total cost is, if you pay it in 6 months, you're only paying $29.88 above the original cost. If you were to break it even more further down into 12 months, you see the increase of $60.12 more than the initial $600, and $90 if you break it into 18 months. But this is just an example. And if you pay early, you're not going to still be, responsible for these fees. So this is a way, I really like that you can do this calculator to kind of determine. And then going back, Chase has the My Chase plan is new. It started in 2020, and when I went to the website, it was very vague on what the actual APR would be or what the actual monthly fee would be. It was just saying that it's based on the amount and the duration of the plan, and you can plan anywhere from 3 to 18 months. So basically what I'm telling you is to compare the interest rates, any late fees, any monthly fees, and look at how long the period is for you to be able to pay that off. This is not an all-inclusive list of how you can book now, pay later flights, because you can go directly to like booking.com, Expedia.com. You can go directly. A lot of these companies are offering book now, pay later flights because what a year we've had with being able to travel. So this is a way to encourage people to get back out there. But I would encourage you to basically, be responsible, think smart about it, and to not get into any unnecessary debt than you need to. It's not worth it. Here are some of my thoughts on book now, pay later flights and using some of these methods. With Klarna, pro is that you do not have a hard pull on your credit. There's a soft pull, but they do, of course, check your credit background to see what you're eligible for. PayPal credit has a hard pull and also a high APR, which I mentioned earlier was roughly around 23.99%. That's high. Credit cards, on the other hand, if you decided to use Klarna and then use your credit card, you still have that high APR. But if you decided to use the credit card to use a plan method, which I mentioned earlier, the APR doesn't really factor in unless you miss that payment plan. Cards do have a high APR of anywhere from 15.99% to 22.99%. And understand this, these rates may be one thing at this time, but these companies have the right to at any time raise the APR. Buy now, pay later methods penalize you for not paying the full balance in the promotional period and if you miss payments. If you're using Klarna or any of these and you're using directly like your bank card, I kind of prefer the security that comes with credit card. I reviewed PayPal credit and it stated like if you suspect fraud or anything, like you have to call this number, versus American Express is really on it. I have had issues with going through my bank and it's a lot more challenging to if there's an issue or fraud or something. Sometimes it was a lot more challenging than just opening a case really quickly on my American Express app or online. And then also when I buy flights on credit cards, there is a built-in kind of insurance. It's limited, but it's some built-in insurance for the flights that I purchase. But at the end of the day, if I really use travel insurance, I'll link what I use for my travel insurance because it protects my electronics. It protects just like if I were to get sick, God forbid. And if you're comparing it with Klarna or Afterpay or Affirm versus using a travel credit card, travel credit cards have an annual fee at the bare minimum are $99, but there are some travel credit cards that do not have a fee. I'll link in the description of this video my favorite travel credit cards that I've been able to benefit from the most. I just wanted to compare what you have available for buy now, pay later flights, book now, pay later flights. I wanted to kind of talk about that because it was very interesting that this came about on Twitter this week when it's been around for a while. I think though everyone's just ready to get back out there and travel. Let me know which method you use, and these are just the things to be aware of. I wanted you to know about the two different methods, going directly with the travel credit card versus using a buy now, pay later option. And definitely be careful when considering look at all the pros and cons, look at actually click the link and read the terms and fees so that you don't get bamboozled. But I'm going to do a video on how you can find, cheap flights so that you may not have to use this book now, pay later option. So definitely stay tuned and subscribe to this channel for more travel tips. If I missed any, let me know in the comments and share this video if you found it helpful. Like and subscribe to this channel.